Hello, everybody, and I want to welcome you back to another Living by Design episode with me. And today I have one of my sacred circle priestess sisters that we connected with last year on this episode. And this is going to be a really good one because I feel like it's right around the time of the new moon. Jupiter just went into retrograde, so I feel really good about this. But we have Dr. Majik. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you who she is, what she does, and then we're going to get into the interview. Hello, Amber.
Hi. So, my name is Dr. Majik. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a doula. I'm training to be a midwife. I'm an astrologer. I'm a high priestess. And overall, I'm a quantum birth keeper. And I really like to support moms and women in their perinatal, prenatal, postnatal pregnancy journeys. And I am really a champion of adjusting children really young. And I'm practicing currently in sunny South Florida in Boca Raton. And that's it. That's all I got for now.
Well, welcome, Amber. And I'm so honored to have you on this episode. I even feel like I'm feeling kind of chill and just kind of like real zoned in right now. And I want everybody to know how we met and really how this divine connection came together is from our own mutual teacher and friend, Tasha. But we were in a sacred circle together, and I'm gonna just let Amber kind of just really go back to that day. We're not gonna go into the circle, but just actually how we all connected, and afterwards, how we've just kept in touch.
Yeah, so I've been working with Tasha since 2020. And a lot of things have shifted in that season, since obviously everything in the world has shifted since 2020. We all know that, but that was a big jump for me. It was a big enlightenment jump for me. And I really appreciated that because I've been on the path now for like over 10 years and doing this work. And when people say they woke up at a certain time, like I woke up around 2011, 2012. And that's when I started asking those big questions like, who is God? And, how do we get here? And what does it mean to be awake or enlightened? I remember I read Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, game changer. Because that's really kind of what spurred me into asking really intense questions. And I'm raised Muslim and I still consider myself Muslim for all intents and purposes. But I think that I'm definitely bigger than that spiritually and the way that I believe. And so Tasha's circles are really like an opportunity to sit and connect with women. And since then, this year, I started hosting circles. That was a big like push for me. So the circle that you and I met at, that was a huge, huge drop. I think it was like the bees, honeybees, right? And it was a temple of gold. So it was like, there was like a layer of, in that, there was something more sacred about that circle because it was an opportunity for people to be standing on the precipice. And a lot of us in that circle at that time, we were standing on the precipice of a new journey. And I had just graduated from chiropractic school and I was about to go to Mexico to serve people. And I had no idea what was coming for me. Like, I was like, oh, I'm on sabbatical. Oh, I'm on sabbatical. And I was like, I'm going to rest. It's going to be great. But there was a whole other ocean to cross that I didn't know about at the time. And that particular circle, I had a seminar with a teacher. And then I was staying with a friend and I didn't have my computer and I wasn't going to drive back. So I ended up staying at my friend's place and I was sitting up against his wall and there was a Sri Yantra behind me. And we were all doing there and I had logged in from his Zoom. So it was really funny. And a lot of things were dropping in that circle and I got to connect with you. And I think Sabrina was in that circle. Dolores was in that circle. Marianne was in that circle. Shay retrograde was in that circle. That was a huge circle. And if I forgot anybody, I love you. That was a huge circle. And it was so powerful and so potent. And all of us had these incredible things that were coming in. And that was the circle where my logo dropped in. Like I was thinking about what my logo was going to be like for so long. And I knew it was going to say magic on there somewhere. And then that was the circle where I kept thinking about the Sri Yantra. I kept thinking of a Sri Yantra. And then I moved my head and I turned I was this in the cameras and there's a Sri Yantra behind my head. And I was like, sometimes just like spirit speaks to you in a way where you're just like,
It does. So much came through that circle, but it really solidified that if we were all kind of denying it, that we've all been on this high priestess path. Because we were in that circle. At the end of the circle, Tasha was like, "You guys know, you guys are all priestess. Was a priestess circle." And really, to tell the truth, after we did that circle, that's when I really stepped in it, and I was initiated into a priestess lineage afterwards, and then met my next teacher that I started working with. And it's just been like, it's been a lot of even more, not, I don't even want to use the word deconditioning, but just going deeper. I knew, especially being on this path, you go deep, but like this past year after coming out of that circle, I just told my teacher, like, there's no way turning back. And it's just like everybody that I've met, and if you work with ISIS, like chances are everybody in that circus, we all work with ISIS, right? And
everybody in Tasha's, I mean, I can't say this specifically, but from what I can tell, I don't know if she's ever confirmed this. She does have a very tight container. She's told me this before. Her container's tight. So you can't come in that circle or in her containers until you're like ready to do the work. So she knows that. I think that if you come into her circles, you're related to ISIS in some way, because
she said that in the circle. She said that at the end. She was like, anybody that works with me is ISIS. And she's like, outside of that, they try to work with her and they're not of it. Like, it just doesn't go through. And I so resonate with that now when I look at it. Everybody that's working with me, all the places, like I'm in Houston right now, and this is my childhood friend. She works with ISIS, and we came back together and started like just a couple months ago, like me and her reconnected, and she works deeply with ISIS. But I wanted to jump into it because you kind of answered some of the question that I was going to ask next, was what was the catalyst that brought you to where you are? So I know you talked about your spiritual awakening in 2001, but now you're in private practice. What made you choose the modality of chiropractic, I can't even talk, chiropractic school? And what made you, when you were doing that, you were going through your awakening, what was the thought of how you're going to, because they're so all aligned, when I work with somebody like that in that context of modality, I have to have someone who understands, like you say, you're a quantum birth worker, or understand Akashic records, like, because all of those things intertwine. So like, how did you get to that part?
Okay. So it's funny because I've been asked this before, but in a different way. The path is a spiral. It's a spiral staircase. In my opinion, it's a spiral staircase. I started in the path in 2011, not one. One would be cool, but I was like 11, I think, in 2001. So 2011, I was like 20, 21. Okay. I started to put in this time and this effort to look at myself and become more aware of stuff. And so for a long time, I wasn't looking at this. I was looking out there. I thought all the answers were out there, as we all do. We all think that the answers are out there. So we spend time reading books, which obviously is important. We spend time consulting with our elders, consulting with our like in my culture, we have like imams. I got very religious that time. I was really Islamic religious. I was teaching Friday school at the mosque. This was before I got married. This was right after graduation of college. I went to Florida State. I graduated. I'm asking all these questions. I started getting very religious. My senior year of college, like I completely stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I stopped talking to dudes. And I was literally just in my like religious phase. I was about to become a hijabi. Like that's where I was at the time. Okay. So for me, God felt like this place that was comfortable. And I had grown up constantly in my life talking to God at night. That's just a habit that I had as a kid, as a baby, like as like a 2-3 year old, like I remember like some of my earliest memories of my life are just praying in bed with my mom, It was like in my wedding speech for my brother that like the first thing I ever remember doing was praying for my brother. And then he was born. And I was like, wow, like I prayed for that and it happened. He's a big deal to me. So side note. So then I'm going through the process of like learning about myself, and I thought all the answers were there. So I'm reading a lot of stuff. And then I met my previous husband, and him and I at the time were like two really powerful beings that did not understand anything but wanted to find out more. So we connected in a way that allowed our crown chakras to really open. And in the process, like, we really fell in love with each other, and we defied a lot of odds by getting married, because he was a white boy and I was a Pakistani. My parents are immigrants. Like, I was born here, but obviously it was a big deal at the time. Like, it was a very like, oh my God, nobody does this. Nobody marries outside the culture. And I did. And he was so much of the essence of my awakening, because obviously, like, him and I learned a lot of stuff together. And then we would read like the tablets of Thoth together.
Oh,
Emerald
wow.
tablets. We like, that was our like bedtime routine. We would like sit and we would read a verse. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
That's neat.
Sexy, right? We would read passages from the Quran. Like, his parents were pastors. So he was
wow.
very well read the Bible. So we would get the Bible and we would get the Quran, and we would read verses together. And we would compare, like, that it was the same essence of the same esoteric, beginnings, in those traditions. And so there was just a lot of like theosophy and spiritual and philosophy work that we lit up in each other. And anyways, our marriage was a lot of things. Obviously marriage is a lot of things, and sometimes it weighs out as being way better and not. But for us, like, we broke each other down. That's putting it very politely. We broke each other down. And obviously there's still a lot of love there. Like, that person changed my life. He'll always be like a part of my heart. I'm going to love him forever. But the day that I signed those divorce papers was as happy of a day in my life as the day that I married him. So like, I can say with both things, the duality of our relationship was like, he was the best friend I ever had, and he was the worst friend I ever had. He was the best person that I've ever loved, and he was the worst person that I've ever loved. Like, marrying him was the happiest thing that ever happened in my life, and divorcing him was the happiest thing that ever happened in my life. And I just, it being in the extremes with him, like, we were in the extremes together. I mean, we rode them together. And he's well now. He's doing well. He's got a great life. And I have so much love and respect for him now, because it's been, at this point now, it's been so many years. And so your original question is about, how did I get to this point? But it's a spiral.
Yes.
It's a spiral. So after my relationship with my previous husband was over, I started yoga school. He started to go back into his own previous like faith. So there was a disconnect from us in a lot of ways, and that's just where our chapter ended. But my divorce was the reason. It was like the fertilizer of my life. Like, nothing in my life has ever given me that much like deep nourishment, because as crazy as it sounds, like, that was the healthiest I was in my life. I was working out consistently. I went to therapy every single week. I started to really learn who I was. I started to go to yoga school. And the day that I signed the papers, like, that weekend was my first class. Or the day that my papers were finalized, the day that I got my divorce decree. It was September 24th, 2015. And we had spent 9 months in separation, and we got separated in December. And then I moved back to Florida in January. And from January to September, I did deep work, therapy every day, asking those inner questions. And now all of a sudden I'm asking everything out there, and then it's in here. I was asking in here. And that's when it became about, like, who the fuck am I? What am I doing here? Why did I get married to somebody that I couldn't stay with? Why am I divorcing somebody that I wanted to be married to? Like, what's happening in my life right now? Like, what is this thing? And so I was working, but I was doing like probably way more work here on a consistent basis. And so I was asking a lot of really intense questions, and I was answering those really intense questions, and God just kept coming up. And that's actually the season where Kali started to come up into my life deeply. I started seeing her in my dreams. I started to like open up a Tumblr page, and she'd be the first picture on there. I would literally just be doing nothing on the internet. I was just scrolling, and then Kali pictures would show up, and I was just be like, what? Like, she's coming in my dreams, and now she's showing up on the internet. And like, I couldn't stop thinking about her. And I would pull those goddess, those original goddess decks, like the Doreen Virtue deck. It was like the goddess deck by Doreen Virtue. It was an old school deck. I had that, and it was like just pulling cards, and I would get Kali all the time, over and over and over again. And she is the goddess. She's a Hindu goddess, and she's one of the like manifestations of Shakti and Parvati, and she's all about endings and beginnings. Kali is the divine energy of birth, rebirth, death, destruction. Like she's the one who creates and sustains life.
I wanted to say Kali is 2020.
Kali's 2020. Kali's
Kali
2020.
was
Kali's
2020.
2022. Kali is just she
Kali
doesn't
has
play.
Kali
She doesn't
is
play.
who we're dealing with right now, because we can't, to even move into the new earth, we have to destroy everything, everybody, and all the people that are ready to witness it. If they're not, Kali has just come in, and she is probably one of the first two goddesses I work with, her and Lakshmi. So Kali's my girl, and when she would just come in and tear things down, it's like, now I'm like, people are like, but how do you bounce back? I'm like, because it was meant to happen. I just have to, whatever needs to be burned down, I'm just gonna allow things to just burn itself down. I think it's so beautiful how, because I only can assume you're still, I don't know how people are with ages, are still in your 20s, right?
I'm 32.
Okay, you're 32. Okay. But for you to be in this place in your life to do the inner work like you've been doing, I commend you, because some people don't start doing that till they're 40 years old.
Sometimes they never fucking do it. You want to be really honest?
Yeah, that's why they never do it. Somebody said the other day, people are like, everyone's healing. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, where'd you get that from, that everybody's healing?
Actually, everyone is most likely disassociating. That's what people are doing. I do it too. Like we all gotta do to survive. Like shit's crazy out here. Sometimes I'm like doing stuff and I'm just like, all of a sudden I'm like, man, it would be so cool to just be on an island right now and just like disappear into the abyss of like, have my own little cave and like just like live off the land. Like,
I live in my little delusional little world. I'm 41 years old and I've been
no,
doing this.
My moon is in Pisces.
You said what?
My moon is in Pisces.
Oh, I'm a Libra moon, but I'm a Pisces. I'm a Pisces rising, so I know you.
No. What I'm trying to say is that my moon is in Pisces and I literally have delusional worlds playing on tabs in the background at all times. You start acting up, I'm going in one of those. I'm like, I'm gone. Like people try to say like, oh, where did she go? Like I'm in a fucking spaceship and I have disappeared. Like try me. Like, how do you think I survived my household? Like as a kid, like my own fucking head.
Question. I have a question. So I know you
putting a pin in the story
astrology.
because I'm not done with the story, just so you know.
You said what?
I said we're putting a little pin in the story because I wasn't done with the story, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm asking you about this and then I want you to go back to the story. Astrology. Do you practice mainly Western astrology or do you do Vedic too?
Okay. The way that I've learned it is Western, tropical. I'm a big fan. I love it. But I got my sidereal chart read by Destiny Turner. She's one of my really good friends. And she's one of my sisters. And after she read it, I was just like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, I have to learn a whole new language now. Like, fuck. But I just also started giving astrology readings for cash because in the past, I've always just done it for free. And I finally was like, okay, I'm charging. And I'm not even charging a little bit now. Like my prices went from free to like high grade prices.
Get your worth, girl. Get your worth.
I didn't charge anybody for 10 years. You could have all had it for free. And then
all of a sudden, pulling those charts, running through all that stuff, like that's math, that's all kind of stuff.
All that math. I'm charging for the math.
Yeah.
I'm charging for the math. Anyway, what was I trying to say? There was words. So I'm a fan of tropical. I love tropical, but I'm starting to really understand that there's benefit in knowing both. But like, I'm one of those like forever student kind of people. Like I just learn stuff for fun. So like when I get to that point where I'm ready to learn sidereal, I'm open to it. But right now the readings I give are tropical. And I think it applies for me and where I'm at, but like, I know that there's going to come a day where I'm not even going to be able to do tropical anymore. And I'm not ready for that day yet. So I've told them like, please like take it easy with me because I'm still like processing. Cause I do, karmic astrology. So like, because I can read Akashic records and because I can read astrology, I just combine them. And when I do a chart reading for somebody, I can tell them about past life stuff as it comes. And I can tell them about like what their objective is for this life and moving forward. And I'm able to engage and understand like between synastry readings and composite readings, like how you two were connected before. And
wait, what? Because I feel like I'm about to be booking a session.
Book a session. Have everybody listening. Y'all can all book a session. Like I'm ready. Come at me.
No,
like,
we're gonna give all your information after this, but with the how do you say it again? I can't even say it because I do astrology too, but as far as I can't even say the word. I'm not synastry. And that has to do with relationship.
You're trying too hard, girl. You're trying too hard. Synastry. Sometimes people say synastry, which I think is like, it sounds almost sinister. And I'm like, synastry, like what? Astrology is its own game out here. Not everyone's cashing out. People are like, because for a long time, I was reading the books. I was going to the teachers. I was learning like firsthand. I was paying for the really expensive readings, getting an analysis of my chart, and I was learning it like that. Now bitches got memes on Instagram. And I'm like, y'all making money from this? And I'm not making money from this? Like, I had a whole come to Jesus moment about when I started my business. I was like, my friend literally had me write down all of my skill sets and all the things that I'm licensed in and all the things that I have certificates for and all the things I know and all the programs I've done. It was a list of like 25 things. And she's like, what are you making money from? And I was like, oh my God.
I'm glad you there. I'm glad you are there because
I've been giving it away for free for so fucking long. We're done giving it away for free. We're fucking done. So there was a man last year. That it did not work out with, that I wanted it to work out with. And oh my God, when I tell you that I analyzed this motherfucker's birth chart, I literally looked at it from every fucking angle, every fucking house, every degree. I was like, and I'm looking at my chart and his chart. I'm comparing the synastries, I'm comparing the composites. And I'm just like, this motherfucker is lying to me. Like, he loves me. And I'm literally sitting here and I'm like delusional in my own fucking head because I'm like looking at his chart and my chart. I'm like, there's just no way. Like, there's no fucking way we're not together. Like, I literally had to release that so many times. It's embarrassing to talk about. It's embarrassing. Like, snatch my edges, embarrassing to talk about this. Like, I'm done talking about it. I'm so done.
People need to know, because being a spiritual worker and doing this type of work, and you're always like, all your friends, you're like, yeah, you said that because you got this in this house and da 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 da. I mean, that's just who we are. Love us for who we are. That's who we are. I mean, you know, I do human design too, so I'll be knowing everybody's human design. If I date you, you're human design. I mean, when I work with my clients specifically, I'm pulling all of their stuff so I can know.
Yes.
Yeah, you know.
Yes. Guess what I am?
You need to know who you're working with.
Guess who I am?
Are you an MG?
Everyone thinks that about me, though. Every single person thinks that about me.
Because you're pretty powerful. Manifestor? I don't like to guess. Are you a reflector or a projector?
I'm an emotional generator.
Oh, okay.
With a 3-5. 3-5.
Oh, you're a 3-5? Okay, I can see that fifth line where you can talk to everybody. Mm-hmm.
I definitely can. I have a skill set of being
you enjoying that emotional wave, because I'm a 4-6 emotional projector. Ooh. So that emotional wave, I don't think people have really tapped into understanding what it means with the emotional wave. Like
what it looks like. You know what it looks like?
What it looks like, what it feels like. and how it's like you could be sitting there fine one day when I had the most amazing day, and then like I had it yesterday. I was having the most amazing day. I flew to Houston, and then all of a sudden the emotional wave came in. And this morning I woke up processing. I'm tired of processing shit. I'm tired of processing shit. I'm tired of all these damn soul lessons, you know. And I understand that I have to go through them. I know I understand I'm doing the work, but sometimes I'm just tired. And you know, my teacher's like, it's okay. I'm like, sometimes I'm just tired. Like people do not even understand. And then on top of that, being in this, and I'm saying this on my podcast, this this shitty world we live in, where people are just not appreciative of people, where people are not intentional. I've just been talking about that lately, how people are just not intentional. And I literally just can't be around people who don't appreciate the person they're with. It's just like people are just, I know people are dealing with stuff, but like say it. Say that's what you're doing with, and you need to take some time and process. People just have the shittiest communication skills, and I can't deal, because that is why people get mad at people like you and I, because we wear our heart on our sleeves, we speak our truth, we process our shit, we tell you when we don't like it, I'm now to the point where like I'll tell you like, no, I didn't like that. That didn't make me feel good. And I don't appreciate it. Please do not treat me like that again. And people are used to being treated like shit. People are used to treating other people like shit. And I'm just like, I'd rather just not hang around with anybody if people are going to just treat people that way.
Yeah, I agree.
But let's get back on, we got to get back on you.
No, you're fine.
We've been talking about it, and I really want to, and I know you were like, we would have put a pin on a thing, put a pin in it. We started talking about astrology. You know, you are a doula. You also are postpartum for abortion, which that's been huge right now. A lot of women do not even know they have these options, for postpartum. And I have a 17-year-old child, and I suffer from postpartum depression. And I know if I do have another child, which I'm 41 and I am still viable and have a healthy living body to have another child, that I will not go without having a doula or a postpartum doula. I think women do not understand. It was like, I never suffered from depression until after I had my son. It was like, after I had him, it was like one of the most spiritual experiences when he was born, but it was the disassociation of my body after I had him, and I went into this tailspin of just depression. And it was just like, and I really want you to kind of like walk through that process of like working with somebody, and then we can go back to that pin that you put back in.
So the moment after you give birth, the first like 48 to 72 hours, you have a drop in your hormones. It is the most intense drop in the history of humankind on any capacity. Like in any kind of situation, there's never a higher hormone drop. So what that means essentially is that you look insane. You look like your moods literally go fucking haywire. And it doesn't happen to any other, like, it doesn't happen to anything else. And it doesn't happen at any other point besides the moment after you give birth. And the whole point of me saying that is that there's just not enough space in our culture still for honoring women in the birthing process. There's just not enough space for it still. Women are these goddesses that are portals that open up to release human life, and we just consider it casual. And when we talk about birth, we have to talk about it with this pretext of a hospital, like, oh, I have to have my baby in a hospital. No, I am somebody that's here to remind women, your body was made to birth a baby. Do not forget that every month for the last, I don't know how many fucking years, we've had periods because our body is preparing us for the idea of pregnancy and birth. We are made to do this. And women that have this issue with their own power are women that I either empower or women that hate my fucking guts. because I remind them of the fact that they don't want to be powerful. Because you know what? It's not fucking easy doing this work. It's not easy. I have had to die so many times in this life to be reborn. It's not an easy process. And every time I die, it's terrifying. People think I do this and I act this way for shits and giggles and for fun. My energy is this savage and this intense because I embody Kali. Like I'm literally here for women who are birthing. And I'm the one that looks women in the eye during birth. And I say, you know how to do this. You were made for this. Because there's a moment when a woman gives birth, and I've read about it in almost every story I've ever read. There's a moment right before baby comes where she says, I'm dying. I'm going to die. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I need to go to a hospital. Somebody needs to get this baby out of me, because she just wants to fucking give up. And I know it because I go through that shit every time I have to die and be reborn to myself. I know what that moment is because I felt it in myself. So when I actually have kids and I give birth, like I know what that moment feels like. And it's probably going to be the worst pain of my entire life. I can't even imagine physically what it's going to feel like. But to me, like being in support of a woman in that birthing time is the most important thing. The work that I decided to do was mostly based on postpartum abortion and miscarriage. And because I did not enjoy the process of pregnancy with women. Also, the last couple of years I was in chiropractic school. It was hard for me to give that much dedication time to somebody. I don't personally enjoy being a pregnancy doula. I really enjoy being a postpartum doula. I really am good at being a miscarriage and abortion doula because I'm really good at talking about grief and loss. I've experienced a lot of it. I'm really good about processing it and helping people process it. So in a lot of ways, like the kind of doula work that I'm doing is postpartum, abortion, miscarriage, like loss, or birth doula. Like being in that moment with a woman, you need somebody that's going to fucking anchor you, but also remind you and empower you. And
that's the word right there, anchor you. That's
the word. And usually like now we're lucky enough to have partners, that hold us and like empower us and anchor us, but like women 50 years ago or 60 years ago, they would be put on some kind of fucking medication and they would go into twilight zones. That was America in the 60s.
It was
like twilight zone births, And so right now the birth work that we're back at is this quantum birth work. So I'm trained by Wapio Bartlett. She's phenomenal. She runs the Matrona. All of her stuff is online. So she offers her doula certifications online. She offers her midwifery certification online. The midwifery program it takes about 18 months if you do it consistently every day. I've been in the program now since 2020 because I started it. I thought I was going to be able to finish it while I was in school with chiropractic. That was a joke because chiropractic took up all my time and I was doing boards and I had so much going on. So I'm still in the process of doing my birth work classes with her, with the Matrona. But when I finish with that, I'll be an independent midwife, which means that you're doing a free birth and I'm just there to support you. But I'm not like licensed midwife. Like that's not what I'm doing. And every state has different rules about that. And I don't know where I'm going to be, which state I'm going to be in when I, finish this process, because I don't plan on staying in Florida forever. Anyway, I went on a whole tangent. I'm really passionate about birth work. I don't think that women are appreciated enough, and I'm really here to help women be empowered. And sometimes my energy is really strong. Like I was at a birth this weekend, the midwife called me and she was like, can you come and adjust this mom? She's been in labor for like 24 hours. And I was like, yeah, I'm coming. And so I showed up at like 8:30. I'd never met this fucking woman in my life. I walked into her house. It's me, her doula, the midwife, and the midwife's assistant. So it's us four and this woman. And she's in the fucking throes of labor. She's in hard labor now because she's been laboring for 24 hours. She's been stalled at she's dilated 8 centimeters. Words. And she was stuck. And so the midwife was just like, please come take care of this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. I don't even know how. I'd never met her before because the energy of it was just like, I was just there. I was just doing the work with them and I was supporting her, and her pelvis was moving and she was ready. And there was a lot of stuff happening and it was a lot of mental stuff. And so at one point I like convinced her to go outside. I was like, you need to get out of this room. Just go walk outside. Like go for a walk in the backyard. Like go put your feet in the grass. Like just go. And it was like incredible to have the opportunity to be with a mom, in the process of labor, because like those feelings are so intense. When a mom is going through that, she needs the most support ever. And her husband actually was asleep in the room because he was sleeping with the first kid. So he was resting. She's in her labor. All four of us were kind of gathered around her doula, the midwife's assistant, and me. And we were all there for her. And at one point she was like, I'm so sorry. You guys are all so tired. And I was like, sis, we're here for you. What, like, relax, like, stop worrying, stop apologizing. What are you doing? I'm here for you. I drove here for you. Like, stop apologizing to me. You can pay me later. It's fine. Right now, just be here. Like, I'm here for you.
A lot of women, that's another thing with women. And a lot of women, when I work with women, I'm like, you got to stop apologizing for stuff. You really got to stop apologizing. And I want to say, like, when I birthed my son, I was the most prepared for anything I've ever done in my life was when it came to birth of my son. Like, prepared over anything, any degree or anything I have. The birth of my son, I was so prepared because to me, and it was just an inside calling, I have such a sacred reverence for birth, pregnancy, the miracle of creating a child. Like, I have so much reverence and respect and devotion for it that when I did become pregnant, I really kind of just withdrew myself from everything. A lot of people didn't even know I was pregnant, and I just focused on being around family, taking care of myself, being relaxed. I was in labor for like 13 hours, and it took me 3 times to push. The only thing I know, when I have another child, I will not have it in the hospital, and I don't want any type of medication because they did give me Pitocin, and that Pitocin made my contractions 10 times harder. You know what I'm saying? But I had complete awareness and sovereignty of my body. I was the one telling the doctors and the nurses what to do because I was aware what was going on with me at all times. And I hate that I see a lot of women do not have that awareness around their body like that when it comes to just period pregnancy, or just now they don't. And it's why it's very important for the work that you do with women as far as postpartum, and even with, we can dive into that because I'm okay with talking about it, just the postpartum of abortions, how much support women need after having an abortion. And also, here's a question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this question, but like, after women have abortions, just I've seen this, and this is something that in my line of work of, they didn't do there's a clearing the energy that's still left in the womb from the abortion. I don't know if you feel that way, or if that's something that, and I see that with a lot of women, that sometimes they have problems having children, and I come and I find out that they did have an abortion, and I'm like, there's probably some spiritual work that you need to have done, because what do you feel about that? Because I see your face.
Anytime you bring a baby into this world, it's not just a physical act. It's an emotional act. It's a mental act. It's a spiritual act. It's a psychological act. It's a psychic act. It's just like, there's so many things happening. If you choose to release that baby to God, and you're not ready for that baby, you make a choice to have an abortion. That's your divine birthright. It is your divine birthright to choose abortion if you so choose. For whatever reason you have, for wherever you are in your life, you are making a sacred contract to have a baby at any time. And when you decide that that's not for you at any given time, it's not for you at any given time. When I talk to my women that are having abortions, there is eons worth of guilt. There is the kind of shame and guilt that they have about that choice and that decision. They have to work through that spiritually and mentally and physically and emotionally. They have to work through that guilt. They have to work through it, and they have to choose it completely. Because if you have to choose an abortion, it will haunt your life. If you have to choose it, it will be the worst thing for you, because you'll never get over it. The reason that I work as an abortion doula is because women do not have anyone to talk to sometimes that will understand what the fuck they're doing and what the fuck they're doing it for. Because everyone wants to call you selfish when you have an abortion. Everyone wants to think that you're the most terrible person in the world. Everyone wants to malign you. Everyone wants to give you, like, we literally have an actual scenario where women have to go into abortion clinics and they're like egged down, thrown eggs at, or thrown tomatoes at, or like literally probably even shot at. Let's not even deny this is America.
Oh yeah. Well, come to Kansas.
That's just some kind of old paradigm shit that's still playing, because those fucking people that will throw eggs at you for having an abortion are probably not taking care of their kids anyway. Let's be really fucking honest. I honestly don't have the space for it anymore to like sympathize with people that are against freedom of choice, because freedom of choice is everything to me. Sovereignty is my number one core value. If anyone tells me what to do, I have a tendency to just immediately want to say no. It's literally something I've had to work on and fix over the course of a long time, because my first response all the time is just like, no, like, I don't want to do whatever you're telling me to do. I have to trust that that person wants to do what's best for me in order for me to, like, you know, agree and submit. But submission's not a fucking game with me. Like, I just, and that's a whole nother topic, but women need to have a right to choose, because sovereignty is the most important thing. And I am such a proponent. I'm not pro killing babies. I'm pro a woman making a choice for herself. Because once you make a contract to have a baby, you are in. That's a dotted line. You sign that shit, you're in. You're not going to be a half parent. You are one or the other. Like, there's no choice there. Like, I get really frustrated a lot of times with people who, especially now that Roe v. Wade is a thing. You gave it to me. That's not ability to talk. I'm doing it too. Anyway.
Embrace it.
Now that Roe v. Wade is like a thing again, I really feel like this is a time, if ever, to tell women, like, hey, I don't care. I love you. I'm with you. I support you. Like, this title of having a sister, you know, and saying to somebody's sister, I've got you. Like, I don't use that word lightly. If I call a woman my sister, like, I'm a ride or die.
Yeah.
I'm a ride or die. Like, I fucking show up, you know, and I'm here, and I don't, like, once I call a woman sister and she's doing the work with me and she wants to talk, like, that's why I'm not everyone's abortion doula. I probably am a good one for women that really need a fucking kick in the pants. But if a woman wants to be like coddled, like, it's not me. I'm not a coddler. Like, I just feel like the work that I do with abortion and miscarriage, like, miscarriage is the hardest one. Yeah. Miscarriage is the hardest one, because if a woman is so ready for that baby and the baby decides that it's not ready for life for whatever reason at that time, it's such a miserable experience. Like, but it's grief, you know, like, my mom died. Like, I literally had to sit in the dark with my grief. There's no other way to live. Like, you have to feel it. You have to process it. And it's a miserable experience, but then you process it and you get to the other side. And, like, I can talk to my mom at any given point now. I can just call her up, like, in my spiritual phone, and be like, oh my God, mommy, these people are so stupid. And she'll be like, yeah, I know.
Well, she's always here, though. That's the beautiful thing. Yeah, she's always here.
Right here. And people used to say that to me all the time. Like, I was really sad because she missed my graduation, and she was the most excited about me becoming a doctor. Like, nobody in my life was more excited than my mom, you know? And she was such a proponent. She, like, at the moment I told her I was going to chiropractic school, like, everyone was like, why chiropractic? And my mom was like, oh, you're going to be a doctor? And I was like, I'll be a doctor. And it was like, it's so the title that I wear is for my mom. Like, people sometimes are like, there's like a whole schism in chiropractic where they're like, I don't want to call myself doctor anymore. And I'm like, this isn't about you or me. This is about my mom. Like, my mom wanted to have a daughter that was a doctor. My mom wanted to have, you know, that thing. So for me, like, when I call myself Dr. Umber or Dr. Majik, like, that's from my mom. Like, you can just call me Umber, whatever. Like, I don't care. But it's nice to be able to have given her that. And it was really hard. She wasn't there that day, but I've never cried more, and I've never felt her more clearly than in that moment, like when they called my name, you know, like there was just this feeling where like I could feel her right there with me. Like she was right there.
Like you said, you were doing it for your mom. I mean, you're serving. This is what it came through in this way, but also that your biggest fan was your mom, and you get to honor her every single time that you're serving someone or just showing up and doing this work for somebody. You're also paying honor and homage to your mother too, which is a beautiful thing, because she's always there too, guiding you, and that mother energy. And I wanted to say this, and like, as far as, because one, I appreciate and honor the work you do, because there's not a time in history but right now that women need us. They need this work. They need to understand how powerful are they. They need someone like you who, if they're unpowered, you're going to empower them and let them know that the power is always in them, you know? And women don't understand, like you said, the key word you said, their divine birthright, their divine inheritance. And my friend and I were saying this last night about, like, some of us that have been on this path, like, we knew we were powerful, but we didn't own our power. It's one thing to know you're powerful, you know you affect people, but then to really step into it, own it, and then you see how everybody really kind of like works around. We might have a little guest with us, but works around us. We have a little guest. Hold on one second. Hold on here. What I was saying is, like, at this important time, women need this. They need us. They need these women like us, and more women who are ready to step into the work, their calling, their prophecy of why we came here to do this work. And so it's so important as for us to show up. It was important. It was divinely orchestrated for all of us to be in that circle that day, and then for you to step in and do more of the work you do: quantum birth work, Akashic records, astrology, chiro work. I can't even say the word, but I see a chiropractic.
Chiropractic.
We're gonna turn this whole episode into an English episode, because Amber cannot talk. And I just want you to know.
Funny though? Isn't that funny that our names are the same and I say mine so different? People are always so caught up with that. They're like, what? And I literally have had to come up with cute names. Like, so my kids in my practice call me Dr. Cucumber.
Dr. Cucumber.
They love
that. But
Amber
is Arabic. The name Amber is Arabic.
So there's a lot of different variations. So my name actually means light, umber. And then umber in Latin means shadow.
And then the other version of Amber is spiritual wisdom. Spiritual wisdom.
I mean,
no, spiritual transformation. Spiritual transformation.
You want to hear something crazy? One of Kali's names, Amba Ma.
Amba Ma.
Amba Ma. And so when I was younger, and even now, my dad, my uncles, I have 3 uncles and a dad, or I had 3, now I have 2, but all of them have always called me Umber Ma. Umber Ma. Literally since I was like a kid, that was like my little nickname, Mitima or Ma. And then my dad sometimes like Umber Ma. Like, and so my uncles sometimes say that to me, because I didn't have a grandfather. He had passed before I was born. But it's crazy because a while ago I found out that one of Kali's other names, her aliases, is Amba Ma. And I was like, I'm literally an embodiment of Kali. Like, no wonder people are People are so polarized by me. Actually, one of my first memories of me in elementary school, which is really freaky to say on a podcast, but like this is real life. I used to draw swastikas in school, in elementary school.
But you know what?
But in Kali's main temple in Kolkata, there is the first thing you see when you walk in is that big swastika. So literally,
sacred geometry.
Hitler took the swastika and turned it into his own shit, but he turned it to the side. So the swastikas that I drew as a kid were all Kali swastikas. And then I'm doing it right now. And I'm so sorry if anybody's watching this that's like of Jewish affiliation and is thinking that I'm doing something wrong. Swastikas in Hinduism are like the most sacred symbol. And I had no notion of this as a child because my parents are Muslim and I didn't grow up learning swastikas. But then because I obviously don't have like Nazis that I live with either. Like, so, you know, it's just like, how the fuck was I in elementary school drawing swastikas? I don't know. But that kind of confirmed a lot of stuff from past lives for me, because like when I was reading Kali's book and I was reading it on my Kindle. And so then when, you know, the Kindle doesn't show you the stuff that's in the middle, like the photos. And then I turned to one of the photos and it was Kali's first temple in Calcutta, and it was like the swastika, and I was like, are you shitting me? Like, what the hell? It's just, I'm definitely an embodiment. She's told me that before too, in prayer, in meditation. She was like, no wonder, she's like, don't be so scared, or don't be so upset that you push people away. Don't be so upset that
you know what you said, if you trigger people, like, I was like, what's up? How you doing?
She said, don't be upset that you push people away. You're literally an embodiment of me. And I was like, oh, okay. No wonder people either love me or hate me. That's a thing. Straight up. Because
same with me.
Huh?
Same with me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very polarizing, and I'm learning that so much more now than ever before. Like my previous husband actually used to say something that I still think about it. The things that you love about people in the beginning are what you hate about them at the end. And I remember he told me that, and I was like, huh. And I still think about that. I'm like, yo, like that's so real, because I've had people in my life that loved how sharp I am, and loved how smart I am, and loved how like channeled and impulsive and sharp my tongue is, and how I can just say anything, and how I can, you know, fill up a whole room with my energy. I've had people that love that about me. But at the end, they were like,
it was like they couldn't do it anymore.
Too much. And it's like, I mean, look, like when you're channeling energy, I don't get to say like, oh, less, please give me less. Like, I wish I could say, okay, I'm complete. Like, let me chill. Instead, like when you're channeling energy, you're channeling all of the energy. Like, I don't get to say to a woman in the middle of birth, like, okay, have less of the baby. That's enough baby. Like, that baby's coming out. Like that baby's all the baby. Like,
yeah.
People that love me for parts of me are not my people.
But you know what? Also, I want to say, like, because people are getting to see spirituality in a different. They get to. I think some people be thinking spirituality is us sitting on a mat and you know, just sitting there, just meditating all day. No, like Tasha says, spiritual people be like, "Fuck you, fuck off." Like, I'm protecting my peace. You know, we come in all different shapes, sizes, colors.
What's Erykah Badu say? What does Erykah Badu say? Erykah Badu's like, I'm all love and light, but don't try me because I got a Newport and a pack of Colts, like, or a Colt and a pack of Newports. Like, Erykah Badu said it best. Let's not even try to pretend. Like, let's not even try to pretend. Like, people really want to try me though. That's the thing. But like I said it a couple of days ago, I was like, yo, these are healing hands, but don't fucking try me. Don't fucking try me. Because I've learned how to protect at this point. Like I will smack a.
You didn't got it. You didn't caught it. You didn't caught it, Umber. You didn't caught it.
I will smack a fuck boy so quick. Put some Florida water on that motherfucker. Like, goodbye. I'm done.
Yo, this is like, out of all my podcasts, is like, we cuss on here, but this has been I feel like we really have let loose, and I really do.
That's what I bring out in everybody. Like people are always like, yo, I really let loose around you. And I'm like,
Listen, I cuss. I'm someone who cusses, so it's not a big deal. We can talk. It's all about living by design. We're being our true. You're being your 3-5 emotional generator, and I'm bringing my 4-6, bringing you from out of my network onto this podcast and sharing your light, sharing your essence and all the good. And I want everybody to catch all that. I want them, because you are for somebody. Some people need this type of work, this type of healing, and they need it in this form. Some people need to be held their hand. We're not going to hold your hand. We're going to tell you what it is. And I know that we've talked so much, and I'm going to have to bring you back on again, because we're almost like to an hour, and usually we just don't go over that long. We have gone over an hour, just like talking about everything. And I know I'll have you on again, and we'll go deeper into Akashic records and astrology. We could talk about all the good stuff with that, and because we have so much coming up. But and Lionsgate is coming up. But I want everybody to know how they can find you, how they can work with you. And I'm going to also put all that information on the page and on the YouTube page, how they can be able to connect with you.
Dr. Majik on Instagram. My Twitter is private because I'll be saying a lot of crazy shit, so I have to keep it private on there. I'm in South Florida. If anybody's listening is in South Florida that wants to see me, my office is in Boca, but I'd be open to connecting mobile. I did a concierge work to start, so I didn't get to finish telling you the story of how I got from where I was on my path to chiropractic, but I guess we'll save that for another episode because it's a good story. But yeah, I'm available for chiropractic. I'm available for quantum birth work. I can do telehealth. So if you're far away and you want to connect for abortion doula work or miscarriage doula work, there's a link on my Instagram that you can book with me. And let's see, if you need help with astrology, or you want your Akashic records read, or you want both of those things read, you can make an appointment with me. There's also, I think on the Linktree, a link for that as well. And then just reaching out in the DMs is a really good way. Like I respond to pretty much everybody. Let's see. If you're interested in my circles, I have a circle this coming Sunday. I don't know if you're going to post this immediately, but if you do miss it, it's fine. But the circle is July 31st. It's at 11 a.m. and it's all about learning how to intuitively eat and learning how to deprogram our body image issues, like from the patriarchy and just like from the parts of us that made us think that we weren't, good enough. So the circle is going to be really intense, but it's available Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then I usually do circles. I'm going to do a circle next month. And the one it's going to be for Virgo season, and it's going to be about natural birth control, fertility planning, becoming more aware of our cycles. I think a lot of women aren't talking about that still, and they don't understand. Like one of my friends just got off of birth control and she still doesn't understand how a cycle works. And so like, it's going to be for women by women, and it's going to be all about explaining how to track your cycles, and I'm probably going to do it with a midwife, because I think that would be a really good idea to have like a midwife there to do the circle with. But it's going to be a circle. It's going to be available on Zoom. And I do those circles once a month. So if you have any questions or just want to be a part of a mailing list or just want to connect, drumbermagic@gmail.com or Dr. Majik on Instagram. It's MAJIK. And then that's it. That's all I got, I think.
And I'm going to share all of those. I always put everybody's links on everything, and this will go out. This episode won't go out until next week.
Okay, so they're going to
share everything, and then it'll be on the Instagram page, so people will be able to contact you, because that's one thing I want to be, is a resource for people if they're looking for this type of work, or they're looking for someone to work with, because I know you also do online coaching, and there's a plethora of, you're very multidimensional. So I always make my podcast, I bring people on that people they're looking for that, because when I'm looking for, I remember I had a VA and she was into all the stuff I'm into, and I'm like, I need to work with you. And I've been looking for somebody like you that's going to understand the work I do. So I want to thank Dr. Majik for coming on, and we're going to have her on again, and we can go deeper in. We're going to hear it. It's going to be a part 2, because we got a lot to talk about, and I love your magic, and you're my sister, and I need everybody to know who you are. I need people to get your medicine, and we're going to get you, and I want everybody just to know. I just want everybody to know. Okay. So I'll see you guys in the next episode, and thank you for tuning in. Oh my God, I can't talk today. All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.